Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today we're going to be making spaghetti, but a recipe that's called $1 million spaghetti. $1 million spaghetti in the sense that it's so good it's worth $1 million. $1 million because it costs $1 million. No, it's not a decadent, expensive style spaghetti by any means, but I think it's more of the former, where it's so good it's worth so much. But what I like about it is that with the holidays fast approaching, this is a spaghetti dish that you can make in a casserole. Essentially, it's a lot like lasagna, but I think it's going to be a lot faster to construct because we're using spaghetti rather than layers of lasagna pasta. And it sounds like it's going to be delicious and simple to make. So I said, well, this will be a perfect potluck celebration, delicious thing to make because it's so good that it's worth $1 million and you can feed a crowd with it. I don't know. That's why we're here. So let's go ahead and get started. Like always, I will include the links to the inspiration for today's recipe down below. So this is spaghetti and we're gonna need some spaghetti. So I have 1 pound of dried spaghetti here and we are going to boil it until it's cooked. So I've got my water that's just come up to the boil and I've added a bunch of kosher salt to it. When I say a bunch, probably a couple tablespoons. And now I'm gonna add my 1 pound of spaghetti. And notice I did not twist it in any special way because I can't manage to do that. So I'm gonna just do what I always do and just twirl it and kind of press. Just poke this down. So we wanna make sure it is all submerged because we don't want half cooked pasta. I shall put this aside while we prep the rest of our ingredients. We're gonna make a quick and easy meat sauce. We're gonna use store-bought pasta sauce and we're gonna add some ground beef and ground sausage to that. So I'm gonna preheat my pan here on good heat. Add some olive oil and ½ pound of ground beef. Or as they say in the UK, mince. You could make this vegetarian if you like by using a plant-based meat, or you could use turkey, which I often use, or chicken when I make meat-based sauces. Add a little bit of salt and pepper. I think I learned that from Emeril Lagasse. He would always season every layer while he was cooking. It's kind of stuck with me. Alrighty, so we have the ground beef browning. Next, we're going to add some Italian sausage. Add that to the pan as well, but I'm removing the casing. And this is mild, but use whatever you like. And whenever dealing with raw meat, make sure you wash your hands. And I'm going to break up the sausage and allow that to brown as well. I know there's some special gadgets that people have for breaking up ground meats. It looks a bit like a propeller of a boat or something. Not a boat, more like the propeller of a steamboat. You know what I mean? Like paddles. Ooh, I should stir my pasta. Right, make sure all the pieces are moving around and not sticking. So while that continues to brown, I'm going to chop up an onion. It says 1 small onion. I've got half a great big one. So I'm gonna add that to the ground beef. I recently learned, oops, okay, perfect. I'm gonna drain my pasta. I'm gonna rinse it with a little bit of water. So there's my pasta. I'm gonna add a few pats of butter and that will give it tons of flavor. But it will also help to keep the pasta from sticking. Kind of lubricate it, you know? It's best to do this when the pasta, of course, is hot so that it gets melted. Now, Italians, I know you're balking because you do not do this, but this is not an Italian recipe, even though we're using spaghetti. Now, I recently learned a new way to chop an onion. I was taught to chop this way and then go this way with your knife. But the argument is that drawing your knife this way toward you is a little bit dangerous if you're first learning how to chop an onion. So rather than chopping, here's the root end, simply chop this way along the grain of the onion, and then chop this way across. And you'll get a nice dice, but kind of angling your knife in a wedge shape so that the slices, not just straight down, but at an angle towards the middle as you get this way, so that the pieces end up becoming uniform. And you get a nice little chop here. For those pieces that didn't get broken up, you can just run your knife through it like this. But look, so much simpler. And you don't have to draw the knife towards you, which I think is a really good technique for someone just learning how to chop. You know what I mean? Like my kids, I just taught my oldest this new technique. I said, look, this is a safer way to do things. Love that. But beautiful chop right there. Meat is nice and browned. We're going to add our onion, along with a couple cloves of minced garlic. And then we're going to continue to saute this until the onions are tender and translucent. So just a few minutes. So after a few minutes, our meat is nice and browned and our onions are translucent. See how they're kind of clear and not solid white anymore? It means they're nice and soft and cooked. So now we're going to add most of a jar of jarred pasta sauce to that. Reduce the heat a bit so it doesn't spatter everywhere. Just cook this up a little bit, just so that the sauce gets nice and warm through. Everything gets incorporated. Looks great already. So I'm going to reduce this heat a bit and just let this kind of simmer away. Just basically to get warm. Our sauce is already cooked, our meat is cooked. We're just letting everything get a little bit friendly here. Alrighty, lovelies. Now we're going to make the cheesy layer for our $1 million pasta. And it contains 3 different types of dairy. Number 1, cream cheese. So this should be softened. This is an 8-ounce package. And I'm going to microwave this for about 30 seconds. Alrighty, so mix up the softened cream cheese, just so we don't have any lumps. And to that, we're going to add 1/4 cup of sour cream. Like that. It's going to add a little bit of tanginess, additional tanginess to the cream cheese. And then a cup of either ricotta or cottage cheese. I've got ricotta, so that's what I'm adding, which is traditional to a lasagna. It's a little bit grainier in texture than cream cheese. It's got a nice fresh kind of milk dairy flavor to it. And mix. So from my understanding, a traditional lasagna uses a bechamel, which is a white sauce that's made with milk and is thickened. So this is going to be kind of a pseudo bechamel. All right, that's it. Yum. I've just drizzled some olive oil in the bottom of a 9x13 baking dish. Doesn't necessarily have to be glass, but this is what I've got. I almost forgot, we're going to add a little bit of sauce to our spaghetti, just to season things up a bit. Not much, because we're going to add the meat sauce too. But just for a little bit of color and additional flavor to the butter and the salt that we've already added. This is the fun part and what makes it an improvement on lasagna. We are going to take half of the seasoned spaghetti and place it in the oil pan. So we're not dealing with layers and layers of lasagna here, just half of the pasta right in there. Get a nice even layer. Now we add the cheesy layer right on top. My goodness. This is more like the cream layer. I love the invention of silicone spatulas. Okay, distribute. Kind of press it in so it kind of gets down into the pasta. Next, more spaghetti. See, the beautiful thing about this is that you can make this ahead. You can make it the night before and just rewarm it. Now, our meat sauce. Well, I'm just gonna spoon this on a bit. Now we finish with the meat sauce. Pour it on top. Break out our great silicone spatula. Get all of that yumminess. And distribute. See how it's easier than lasagna? You're not going through all the layers. You're just like dump, dump, dump. Alrighty, next. Generous layer of cheese. This is mozzarella. Will give us a nice cheesy pull. It should brown up nicely too. Then over top of that, for a little extra saltiness, we're gonna add some shredded Parmesan too. Alrighty, lovelies, now we're going to bake this in a preheated 350-degree oven and bake it for 30 to 40 minutes or until it's warmed up all the way through. And then we're gonna let it rest for at least 15 minutes. So that will help to make it sliceable. Otherwise it'll be a little bit too slippery, you know what I mean? But I don't think the resting time is as important as it is with lasagna. Usually you have to let that cool for a couple hours because then the layers really slip around. But this is spaghetti, right? So not too much sliding. If you want a neat slice, I think you should wait longer. But we just wanna know what it tastes like. Alrighty, lovelies, I'll see you in about an hour or so once this is all baked and cooled off. Okay, see you in a little bit. Alrighty, lovelies, I am back with $1 million spaghetti. Here it is, all baked and ready. It is heavy. It has been sitting here for about half an hour cooling off, so it's still warm but not scorching hot. So I did bake this for 35 minutes covered in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven, and then I uncovered it and it was looking quite pale. So then I broiled it for about 3 minutes under the broiler just to get it a little bit golden and bubbly on top. So let's go ahead and give it a taste. So letting it cool a bit allows the cheese to kind of set up a little bit, which is great because if we were doing this right out of the oven, this cheese on top would not be very sliceable. I don't even know how scoopable it would be because mozzarella cheese tends to be really kind of stretchy and pulley, so if you tried to scoop it, I think it would be challenging. This makes a lot of food, and I imagine it would freeze well. Okay, so got ourselves a portion here. Here we go. Boop, 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 boop. Look at that. Look at that. That looks great. Great. Look at that. Okay, I need a picture of that. Alrighty, lovelies, let's give our $1 million spaghetti a taste. Now look at that. That looks pretty good. I like how sliceable the portion is. Let's see how it is when we fork into it. I'm gonna stir it a little bit. So it's not really twirlable because the strands have been cut a bit, but here we go. My first taste of $1 million spaghetti. Itadakimasu. Pretty good. Very rich. That cheesy layer in the middle gives it kind of a creaminess. And the pasta is very tender. Not squishy, but tender. Kind of reminiscent of lasagna in terms of the kind of texture of the pasta. It's not al dente at all. Definitely has absorbed the sauce. Nicely sauced too. Not too saucy. I think I could even use a little bit more sauce. I did not use the entire jar, and I could have easily. But having said that, the pasta is flavorful. And well seasoned. But if you like a saucier lasagna, maybe add a little extra sauce. I'm gonna have some of the top cheesy layer because that contains the Parmesan and the mozzarella. And then of course the meat layer is also on top too. So I'm gonna scoop some of that on top as well. Here's a meaty bite, here we go. I like that meaty layer. Again, it reminds me very much of lasagna, but the texture is different. It's got the fun, playful strands that I think of when I have spaghetti. The creamy layer is a little bit too creamy for me. I need to kind of stir it around a bit. Some spots are a little bit too creamy, but let's stir it. I think I had a thick patch of it, and it was a bit too rich for me, too dairied, but mixed more with the tomato sauce. I like that better. When you mix it with a sauce, it tastes more balanced to me. The acidity of the tomato, I think, offsets the richness of all that dairy from the cheese. I also really like the top layer of cheese. It's both a different flavor and texture of cheese as opposed to that kind of creamy, milky, cream cheesy layer in the middle. It's a little bit more funky, and I like the texture. It's kind of got that pizza cheese texture on top. You know what I mean? Almost like a skin. Good. A very stick to your ribs, simple meal to make. Feed a crowd, please a crowd. Very little effort. And even though it's called $1 Million Spaghetti, I think it's pretty good on your wallet too. This entire pan would generously feed 10 to 12 people, and I would say it would be about $10 to $15. So $1 per serving seems really reasonable to me, and you can make it in advance, and you could cook it in advance too. Keep it warm and then bring it to your event or your party warm like this. Super easy. So there you have it, $1 Million Spaghetti. It's essentially a version of lasagna that, in my opinion, is easier to construct and put together because you don't have as many layers. I do think that the cream sauce could be distributed a little bit better. I think I might separate that into 2 layers if I were to make this again, because I felt like it was a little bit too thick as 1 layer. But besides that, very, very tasty meal, hearty meal, and really good on your wallet as well. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends, follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Alrighty, I wonder what the kids are gonna think as having $1 Million Spaghetti as an afternoon after school snack. I don't think I will get any complaints. Just need some garlic bread. Wow.